Hi, this is Tim Campsell with TBC Action Coach of Indiana with our Business Spotlight series. The purpose is to interview local business owners and promote them through our social channels and email database, as well as provide them coaching. This is a free service we're offering because if every small business is strong, then the economy is strong. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Patrick. Hey, Patrick, welcome to the program.
Hey, Tim, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me. Good to see you.
You too, my friend. Well, hey, let's start with having you introduce yourself and
Okay.
give us a little bit of your background.
Okay. I'll give a little bit of mix of personal and professional. Go back a
Fantastic.
little ways. I lived in Sioux Falls, South Dakota for about 23 years. So I consider that home. It's quite a bit of my family still back there. Went to college there. That's really where I had my first adult job. And where I started my sales leadership career as well. So was there for, like I said, 23 years, then moved on to Omaha, Nebraska. It was a work move, a career move. Lived in Omaha for approximately 14 years. And then in both at both Sioux Falls and in Omaha, I was with multi-billion-dollar companies, in VP of sales roles, director roles. And ultimately, through that experience, really gravitated toward doing my own thing one day, right? I really want to own my own business. It had been there since I was about 18, but really, the fire grew as time went on. And so about the time I met my wife, Angie, I met her through the dental field in Omaha. She was at Creighton University, to be specific. She got a better opportunity to come to Indiana, University of Indiana, or excuse me, Indiana University on the dental school on the IUPUI campus. So decided to make some big personal moves and some big professional moves upon moving to Indianapolis 4 years ago. Really just moved here, didn't know anybody, didn't have a job, resigned from my big corporate gig back in Omaha and came out here and started my career as an outsourced VP of sales. And I've become a father. I had my first child about 5 months ago, my baby daughter, Violet. And so she's my major focus right now, right? With everything going on in our lives with her. So anyway, I probably went too far into that, Tim, but that's what's going on in my personal and professional life.
So just a couple of minor changes over the last 5 years.
Minor changes? Oh yeah, right. I thought you were asking me to lay them out there. I was like, wait a minute, I put out some major ones there, right? Yeah, it's been really. And I will say this, I went into those last 5 years way overconfident that I would just be able to, move through it all real smooth. I'm just going to make it happen. Well, you're right. There's been some growth from suffering in there, Tim. Let's just put it that way.
Patrick, tell us a little bit more about your business. If I was to ask you for your 60-second commercial, what would that be?
Sure. So, I'm an outsourced VP of sales. I guess if I were to carry a title, that's what it would be. When I moved here, there's an organization called Sales Xceleration that actually started in Fishers. They've been around for about 10 years. And a gentleman that I was part of my prior corporate position, he actually hired me into the company. He became a Sales Xceleration advisor in Seattle. And so when I moved here, he said, hey, you need to meet Mark and Chad, the two founders of this company. And it was more in the spirit of networking. Mm-hmm. And so when I met them, it was one of those moments, Tim, where I walked away from it going, there's some guys that I can follow. I everything they said, I loved hearing about it. I want to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. And so ultimately, it's not a franchise. It's I invested in a license to operate. There are 120 other advisors like me throughout the country and throughout Canada, throughout North America, basically. And really what we do is we will go into, our typical client is a small to medium-sized business owner that has come to a place of self-awareness that they're willing to maybe give up the sales hat, whatever that looks like. Whether that's, hey, I've taken my sales team to a ceiling that I don't think I can get them past. I need some help taking them to another level. I am I'm in a situation where my sales team is not good, or I'm not a good sales manager, if you will. I need somebody to come in and help me with that. Or I want to build a sales department, but where do I start? How do I do that? So those are kind of the three typical scenarios that we'll come into. Nothing industry specific, but we'll come in and really create customized deliverables for that owner that will carry out typically over a 6 to 12 month period. And where we're a little bit different, I feel, than the rest is there are all kinds of organizations that offer sales training, right? Come in with a game plan. Tim, here's how you do it. Go do it. I feel we're a little bit different, that not only do we help with the sales training, the creating of the strategy and the process and the metrics and what have you, but we stay to help implement it, right? What we figure is the biggest challenge of the whole process is actually getting it implemented. So we stay and help with that too. So I know that was way longer than 60 seconds, Tim, but I wanted to give as much background as possible.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So you mentioned that it's industry agnostic. Is there a certain size of business that's ideal for you?
Great question. So if you were to ask that question of the different advisors throughout the North America, you would probably get an answer of anywhere from 1 to 40 million as far as revenue size. What I found in my own experience, having done this for call it 2.5 years now, is those that seem to gravitate toward my services, or that I'm getting introduced to or networking with, seem to be right in that $5 to $12 million space. Just kind of that's what seems to, that might change completely over the next 2 years, right? Who knows? But that seems to be the sweet spot.
Okay, awesome. So tell me, what's been the biggest impact that COVID has had on your business?
So I have a similar story to many, in that I'll call it a year ago, right before, this is about the time everything pretty much shut down last year. And I too had some clients that ultimately ended up furloughing me. I'm grateful I'm back with those clients, but we put some pause in the engagements, for 3+ months, while things were shaking out. One client did stay with me. I'll tell you a real positive story that came from it. One client that I did continue on with throughout the entire COVID period, I'll call it, their primary means for sales was an outside sales force. And so we had to do a major pivot on, okay, now all of a sudden we have to create an outbound, phone center, call center, if you will. So I'm happy to report on the back end of that, not only did we create a very efficient and cost-effective way to start to reach out to prospects, as opposed to maybe driving 250 miles in a Ford F-150 pickup truck for lunch and then driving home after that another 250 miles, right? That was one of the scenarios that was happening time and time again. So they became very, very good at, we became very, very good at the outbound video Zoom presentations, right? And it's still part of their model. They still have an outside sales force, but on the front end of their process, they're using video conferencing like this more and more to really narrow down, I guess you could say, on that pipeline. So that's, again, sorry, I'd go off on tangents.
Oh, Tim, you're fine. No, you're good. If need be, I'll pull you in, but you're doing awesome.
Okay, cool.
So you mentioned a pivot that one of your clients had to make. We've all had to pivot during the past year to figure out ways to make our business work. So what's one action that you've taken for your business from a pivot standpoint, and how's that been working for you?
Sure. My immediate response and easiest response to that is basically doing the same thing that we coach them through, right? How do we now incorporate this new world of communication that, heck, may not have even been accepted by somebody the day before, things got shut down. It's become a much more accepted way to communicate, really on any business dealing at any level, right? So to answer your question, I was open arms to it, but it made me fine tune the way that I use technology and the way that in all of the organization around that. right? Which I know you know better than anybody, how much organization goes into it. So that would be my answer to that.
Isn't it interesting that pre-COVID, the option was meet for coffee somewhere or a phone
Yep.
call, even though all these different video mechanisms existed, and
Right.
almost right overnight now, Zoom or Teams or whatever technology you're on has become
Yeah.
such the norm that it's like, well, man, we don't even want to, nobody wants to waste the time driving anymore because you can just hop on a video conference.
Well, it's right. You're spot on. And then, the thing too, and I kind of already touched on this, but even those that, I mean, I have this gray hair, right? So I consider myself old school on certain things. But even what I would consider somebody who's the oldest of old school, this is accepting to them now too, right? And so it's really something to see how thought processes and what's accepted and what's not have really, and that's big change for people too, right?
Absolutely. So here's an interesting question, Patrick. It's been said that smart people learn from their mistakes and
Mm,
wise people learn from the mistakes of others. So
mm.
what's a mistake you've made along the way that you'd be willing to share to help other entrepreneurs learn from your experience?
Other entrepreneurs. So I laugh because, so as part of the Sales Acceleration, um, they have regional meetings, right? Well, we'll get together. The Chicago region land meeting group will get together, and there's like 15 of us advisors, and then they also have national meetings. Anyhow, after one of the regional meetings that we had up in Chicago, I went to one of our founders and I said, Mark, if you ever need, how like in pro sports, you'll hear a lot of times where they'll bring the rookies into a room and they'll bring a veteran in, and that veteran will coach those rookies on things to look out for. Hey, just don't do this, or make sure you're doing that. I said, if you're looking for somebody to come into your training groups that's made every mistake possible, I'm your guy. So come use me that way. Bring me into your training groups. I'll tell them exactly what to and what not to do, because I've made every mistake possible. And I feel, and really, when you say advice to an entrepreneur, my advice would be complete, especially if you're coming from a corporate setting like myself, where the majority of your day, it was set for you, right? It just kind of was. It's just how you come to work. Oh, I got 3 conference calls today that you didn't have any part of setting up. It's really easy to get used to what I call the corporate lifestyle. And so when I first started my business, and all of a sudden, okay, how do I do this, right? They give you so much training on how to promote your business and so on, but at the same time, it's a real mindset on okay, you mean I can't work in my boxers till 11 every day when I'm an entrepreneur? And I'm exaggerating, but that's that was after about 3 months. I was like, holy cow, I feel like my wheels are spinning. And the reason my wheels were spinning is because I wasn't as structured as I was going into it. And it made me realize, oh my gosh, I really do need structure. As much as I've been fighting it all these years, I don't need structure. I do. So structure and discipline, instill it early. Make sure it's something that you don't get away from, if it's something that's been part of your life for many moons, like it was mine. So that's my advice.
Thank you. Awesome advice. And like you, I went through that same learning curve, and every business that I coach, managing time and managing people is an incredible challenge. And I often say to people that I work with, there's a bad connotation with the word management, because everybody thinks of micromanagement.
Yeah.
What I tell folks is everybody needs to be managed, either self-managed or managed by their manager. Otherwise, left to our own devices, we have stories similar to what you just shared. So thank you so much for being willing to share that with the audience.
Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome.
So, second last question here. We've got your contact information. We'll be sure to include that when we do this, so that folks can reach out to you. But is there anything else that you'd like to add? Do you have any types of offers that you run, or how might people find out more about you and your services and if you're the right fit for them?
Oh, I appreciate that, Tim. Really, I focused a great deal of energy on my LinkedIn presence, LinkedIn on my profile, and just using that as my primary means of connecting with people. So that's very up to date, and it's a great way to connect with me and really learn what I do, along with some case studies and that sort of a thing. So my answer to that would be to go to my LinkedIn page, and then there's a link to get to my website from there as well. So that would be a good centrally located place to be. And then as far as any type of an offer that I have going, I don't really necessarily have anything like that I'm promoting right now. But what I will say is, if anybody were to reach out to me, after having watched this program, just know I'll be very assertive to do everything I can to gain your business and to do the right thing by you.
Awesome. And for folks listening, we'll make sure to put the LinkedIn and the website address in this post so that you can reach out to Patrick. So last question here. Patrick, tell me, what's been most inspiring to you over the craziness of the past year?
Oh man, and that's such an easy answer for me to right now. But my go-to, right, is my daughter, right? We will tell you another quick story here, Tim, because that's what I do, it seems. The we found out we were pregnant about 2 weeks after the COVID shutdown. So this wasn't a COVID baby, right? I think we can get away with calling it as such because of the timing, but it wasn't. And really, throughout that entire time, my wife we were blessed in a way that she was able to stay home while she had a real rough pregnancy, a lot of morning sickness. So she was able to feel crummy at home that whole time. And so we were so blessed that way. And then in just having that experience with her very close up the whole time, because we were home the whole time together. I am so dedicated to providing an awesome life for my baby daughter that, man, and that's my motivation right there, my friend, is that little girl that was born 5 months ago. So that's there it is.
That's awesome. So if I'm hearing a couple of your stories, like you're saying COVID was an awesome, amazing thing. I don't think other people are gonna like you for that.
Well, and I have to be careful of that, right? Because gosh, I mean, how many you hear all kinds of, whether it be on a major business scale or otherwise, all these flip stories of how it affected some companies this way, some people this way, and whether it be positive or negative. Yeah, I have to be very careful to even sound like I'm celebrating it at all, because I'm not. Right? It was pure timing. But at the same time, I was looking back on it, it's like, oh my gosh, we definitely made some sacrifices to have that, to be in a position where we were both at home. But anyway, you're right.
Congratulations. That's awesome, my friend. I'm so happy for you. So
thank you.
That does conclude the interview. For those listening, if you've heard something that's piqued your interest, please take advantage of the opportunity to talk to Patrick, learn more about how he can help you improve your sales organization, start your sales organization, expand your sales organization, whatever it is that you specifically need. Use the contact information in this post and reach out to him. Patrick, it's been a pleasure learning about you and your business, and I wish you tremendous success.
Tim, I wish the same to you. Thank you so much. You're a first-class guy, man. I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. All right, Patrick, have a great day.
You too.
Take care.